Hi, I'm Jill, the owner of Candle Ready Cakes. Thank you so much for joining us for this Nailed It, Failed It challenge. I'm going to be taking you step by step through the process of making a construction-themed cake. Have fun and good luck. In addition to the items that we provided for you in the kit, you will also need a medium-sized bowl and some kind of large knife. A serrated knife works great, like a bread knife, or any chef's knife will do. And if you happen to have a turntable at home or a Lazy Susan spinner in your cabinet, it'll work really well to decorate the cake, but it is not 100% necessary. So to start, we are going to take our cake layers, unwrap them, and on the bottom of most of the cakes is going to be a piece of parchment paper. You're going to want to make sure you peel that off, and then flip the cake back over so the rounded side is face up. You'll then take your serrated knife and very carefully saw at the edges, just a little bit at a time, and just keep going around in a circle until you get to the center of the cake. By going gradually around, you'll have a better chance of getting a nice, smooth, level top rather than letting it be angled one way or the other. So you can take that piece and set it aside and grab your second one. Unwrap, and if it has a piece of parchment paper on the bottom, peel that off. Go ahead and flip it over. And right where it begins to mound, just like with the last one, just do a little sawing motion. You want to cut off as little cake as possible. And then just make sure you're doing that small sawing motion as you're spinning around. Then you'll grab your cake board and put one of the cake layers on it in the center. Next, you'll take your medium-sized bowl and your frosting, open it up, and use your spatula to put it all into your bowl. Set that aside. Now when we make our buttercream, we whip it for a really long time so it's nice and fluffy for our cupcakes. But when it comes to our cakes, we do want to let some of that air out. So you are just going to want to stir that until it is nice and smooth. You can see how smooth that is now. And that is what we're looking for. take a glob of that frosting, a nice good helping, and put it right on the center of that cake. You will then use your offset spatula and just gradually spread that out to the edges. Try to go over the edge a little bit and make sure it's nice and level, not mounded in any way. If you just use the tip and just gradually push it out to the edge, it'll be relatively smooth. Next, we will add the top layer. So you're gonna take your layer, the cut side, face down into the frosting, and get it eye level with it and make sure it is level. Now we will be adding the crumb coat to this. So you're just gonna take a little bit of frosting on the back of your offset spatula at a time and just spread that on very thin. For the crumb coat, you should be able to see the cake through the frosting. Add a little bit to the top, same thing, very thin layer. And this is where you will need your bowl scraper. So we're gonna use the flat edge of the scraper. It's gonna be at a bit of a 45-degree angle towards the cake. And you're just going to press gently and spin the cake as you go. Now once you get enough on there, you're gonna wanna scrape it off into your bowl. If you're not working on a turntable or Lazy Susan of some type, just have your cake on the table and just do gradual scrapes with your scraper, then turn it a little bit and scrape a little more. Just keep going around until it's relatively smooth. Now this is a crumb coat like I mentioned, so it will be getting a coat over top, so you don't have to worry about it being too perfect. Once your sides are to your liking, just take your spatula and smooth down those top edges. Next, we will be adding our second coat of frosting. So this is going to be a much thicker coat. I'm still going to put this icing on the back of my spatula. And how I think is best to do this is add a little bit on the top and then a little bit on the bottom there. Continue to go around your cake. and then add some frosting to the top. Smooth that frosting out on the top. Once again, it does not have to be perfect. And then grab your scraper, the flat edge, and scrape around the sides. We're now going to texture the sides a little bit. Since this is a construction themed cake, we're gonna have the sides textured a little bit to look like a muddy kind of construction zone. So by taking the back of your spatula, just gently hit it up against the frosting. Just very gently hitting that frosting to get that texture in there. And same for the top. Now I kind of like these higher edges here. I think it makes it look more construction themed, but you can always clean those off if you'd like. But once again, I'm gonna go around on the top and just texture up that top. Now I'm going to add a little bit more of the frosting around the base of the cake. And I'm going to add a glob of frosting on the top here. You'll see why in a little bit. Now this is where the toppings come in that were provided. So we have some Oreo crumbs and some graham cracker crumbs. I'm going to add these graham cracker crumbs up here like a pile of sand. And some more on the edge here. I'm going to use the Oreo crumbs and do more of a straight line here as if it is a path that needs to be paved. some around the base as well. Next, we're going to push the cake a little bit out of the way. Clean off our countertop a little bit. And we're going to make some traffic cones. So this orange here that was included is fondant. If you've never had fondant before, it tastes somewhat like marshmallows. And you're gonna take it first and you're gonna knead it. See how it just breaks up like that? You're gonna knead it till it's nice and a smoother consistency. Now you can see it's more stretchy. That's what we're looking for. So you take it and roll it into a tube. You can take your knife, cut off the end, and then cut some even sections. Not too far, maybe 1/4 of an inch big. And roll these into a ball. Once they're all into a ball, we're going to then make them into a cone shape. So you'll take it in your hand and with one finger in your palm, just roll it on one side. Or just on the top. Once you have it kind of looking like a little carrot, then you can turn it upwards and just press it down onto the table. And it will make a little cone top. We now have all the cones tops made, and we're going to make the bases. So once again, with your roll of orange, do a really thin slice. And you're just going to take those in your fingers and just kind of shape them into a square. Now we will add the decor. So I'm going to add some cones around this sand pile. And around the base here. To get your cone tops attached to the square, once you have them where you like them, go ahead and take a little bit of water and just add it to the bottom, and that will glue them on. Just a very little bit of water goes a long way. Then we'll add some of our construction themed toppers. Now I am using acrylic toppers, similar to other ones we sell here, but you will be provided with something similar. So I'm going to add this. here is the construction themed cake.